Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay. I had a sudden email going on, but this is the pre-show for Critical Role. It's obviously non-official, but I've been interviewing the cast of Critical Role for about 8 years now, and so we're going to dive in as people kind of meander into the live stream. I hope my audio sounds good, and always appreciate a little confirmation on that side. But yeah, this is our last big stream before the holidays. So, hello to everyone in chat. I appreciate you. We already have someone. Thank you, Mark Stewart in Australia. I appreciate you. Oh, just having a chill stream. I can't believe we're at episode 10. We're going to go over. We're going to do kind of an overview of the last episode. We're going to talk about the leveling up that occurred as well. Yesterday there was a video on that. I made a video about that content as well. Yeah, good point. Make sure I'm monetizing. Always an issue. Yeah, it appears to be on. Oh, that is my entire camera. All right, we got people piling in right now, so we're going to give it a minute. I hope everyone's having a good holiday season. I know this time of year is kind of rough for a bunch of reasons having to do with like family. Frankly, it's dark all the time. That's a lot for people as well, so I totally get it. Oh, thank you for liking that video. I appreciate that. One second, I'm going to be checking on something.
They're so good. They're so good. The Nat one was deadly. Yes. I love when my players ask questions, not only me but one another. Agreed. As long as it's not a shopping episode, I'm down for slow character episodes. Yeah, I mean, I don't typically enjoy if it's like all dedicated to that, but at the same time, um,
Test 1, 2, 3. All right, audio seems to be good. Oh, that's funny. I chose a streamer who also is streaming about this on a. One second. I have set my lights behind me for red and green. That is absolutely true. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to get into the nasty business of all of this, whether someone lives or dies. I'm a little worried that this feels like a good time to kill a character. Doesn't mean that it's gonna happen, but it could happen. So, all right, let's go ahead and start diving into this. I don't want to cause any kind of delay. I'm getting kind of like some other messages from somewhere else, so I apologize for my distraction. Um, all right. We are going into notes. All right, so let's kind of do an overview since we're like spinning up right beforehand, before the actual episode season for episode 10 of campaign 4. This is pretty a big one. Previously, last week, and by the way, there's going to be spoilers, so if you're in chat, you should expect that. We appreciate super chats, gifts, handing out subscriptions to other players. I mean, other people who are in chat. That all helps. We ran into last episode. Tyranny was really pushing Halavar, Wikander, to be a better person, a good person. We ran into fairy warriors that were on black bunnies wearing leaf armor, which was amazing. They went on the Miller's Road blessing crossing. The Miller's Road crossing, it had a blessing that gave them pass without trace. We had fairies that had fairy heads. Ones that were ones that would tell the truth, and ones that wouldn't tell a lie. Ones that would tell lies. It was very coded for specifically. Oh, bidet as well. The multiple heads for the fairies who were riding the black bunnies was very similar to kind of the knockers from Labyrinth. If you've ever seen the movie Labyrinth, they had that kind of, one of us always tells the truth, one of us always tells lies. And so I really like the idea of these fairies who replace their heads to be honest or to lie for some reason. So that was pretty funny. The fairies had multiple heads, as I mentioned. They decided to send those fairies that were riding on top of black bunnies to the gnome that they encountered because he's looking for help. It was really cute. They have head of blooms, which are always honest, and head of thorns, which is not. And they are Griggs bad, Kellheads are good. We also we found out information about the House of Royce. It fell. There was a dark fairy horse that went south. Let's see, what else? They did give the Fae folk rations, which gave them inspiration. The heads tend to argue as well, and they showed up to the city with Candle Feast or Fest happening with the Candescent Creed. It's kind of a holiday that they kind of replaced other religious holidays with their own kind of branded content. It was kind of creepy and weird. Tyranny, for some reason, has rebranded herself as Patient Finger. So they arrive at Tigrisly, which sounds like another similar city in Willow. The Hounds, we found out, are actually reincarnated knights. And the Earl of Gromley wants his wife to be resurrected and and has converted to the Candescent Creed. We keep on finding out that the Candescent Creed is... Oh, Kettle Hops, very much. Thank you, Cassius. We keep on finding out that the Candescent Creed is spreading like a weed in this world, and still seems to be decidedly anti-fairy and demon, though despite the fact that they're actively using demons to their own ends is a little confusing. So they did move. They did start moving into the castle using illusions, and one of those illusions actually was being used by Tyranny, and they keep on trying to use this deception stuff. But Tyranny like got pretty close, acting like Wikander, and that didn't work. They got through the room, and where we found folks at the end of all these things that has happened previously is they're in a room. Currently, Tyranny is slowly turning into stone because the enemy has a basilisk as a pet, which is wild. And Tyranny made eye contact with that basilisk and started turning to stone. And there are an impossible to number amount of humanoid forms in the darkness. They did talk to a rat that specifically said no one living goes into this room and comes back. He included that with his family, his friends, all that stuff. And there's a lot of indications that Teor's brother is actually... Teor Pridesire's brother Sid is actually in this room somewhere. There was a cage where there was a lot of molted fur or fur that had come off of them. Oh yeah, sorry. Tyranny tried to impersonate Octus, and that was... They've got to stop doing this. So Tyranny was using Mask of Many Faces to try to appear to be Octus, and they're like, if you were Octus, you'd already be dead. It's a rough situation is what we're finding ourselves in. So they break into this castle. They know that Sid is there. They keep on failing deception checks. And the Tachonis family has a pet basilisk. And then on top of that, an unnumberable amount of soldiers in a dark room, which I suspect are skeletons and zombies. I think the Tachonis family is actually just amassing a zombie or skeleton army. They did mention that they were actually, digging people up, digging up skeletons. I mean, digging up bodies from graveyards and stuff like that. So that's why I suspect that they're actually going to be dealing with right now is an undead army, which means they can probably burn through, like, if it's an unimaginable amount of bodies that are sitting in this room right now in the darkness, as Tyranny is slowly turning petrified, which she can still save on a couple of rolls to prevent from happening narratively. It's a tough spot. If they're humanoids, they might die. But being a paladin, Teor may be able to cut through this undead nonsense pretty rapidly. And skeletons, low hit points, zombies, low hit points, not very good, attacks as well. So they might be able to burn through this thing and be okay. That's probably not the best summary of everything that happened. It was one of those episodes where there was a lot of, like, at the very beginning, there was a lot of conversation, a lot of things happened. I loved the fairy element of everything. The stuff with the Black Bunny riders that had two heads, absolutely amazing. And this may inform the level ups that we're going to see potentially in this episode. There was a video, and I did a video on their character build level ups, where Tyranny was actually considering taking Fey Touched, which is a very smart move for a feat, especially for a warlock. You have so many limited, spell slots. As a warlock, it's good to like add a few other spells that you can cast that don't take away from those limited spell slots. So Fey Wild or Shadow Touched, Fey Touched or Shadow Touched, always good options for warlocks. And Misty Step is a really, 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 really strong spell to get out of a feat. Misty Step has saved my characters more often than not. Misty Step saves the day almost every day. It's one of the most powerful spells, I would argue, in D&D tactically, even though it doesn't do a whole bunch of damage. So this is where we're finding ourselves in. Is Tyranny keeps on trying to deceive people, and or Wikander, and it keeps on messing up. We know that we know that the Tachonis family obviously has complete control of this stronghold. We don't know where the woman with the skeleton tattooed face is. This can be a lethal situation for the party. So, can they... Is this... And I suspect it's going to be very combat heavy, because there's a very large 3D map that Brennan has that's mostly covered in pieces of black construction paper. So that implies this is not necessarily something they can talk their way out of. I think we're going to jump into combat right away, and things are going to get really nasty really fast. So the question on everyone's minds is this kind of a situation where we're watching a sitcom or a TV show or a dramatic show, whatever, and we have a very dramatic moment where someone dies? I think someone can die, 100%. I really do. So I think we can lose a character from this cast tonight. Now, is that kind of a bummer of a way to end Critical Role and 2025? Absolutely. I think it's a little bit of a bummer. But they are in a lethal situation, and I'll be completely honest, they've gone out of a lot of lethal situations, and I think the devil is due. So that's what worries me a little bit right now with the current situation is have things come to a point where we expect a death. Honestly, Wikander got very within 2 hit points of completely flat out dying. That may happen. We also, we got a lot of different kind of house rules that are happening with the show currently. If you're not up to speed, and you may not even know some of these house rules are, we keep on having these luck checks, which are not part of D&D. That might be part of Pathfinder or another system. That's not something we do. Another interesting weird house rule that I've not seen in other editions of games is that you can use a physical attack, like throwing a punch, as a sneak attack. That's something that happened early on in the game, so you can't use sneak attack unless it's with a finesse weapon, or like a ranged weapon. And Brennan said you can actually use a punch, use an unarmed strike with a sneak attack, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I think we see roguelike figures sucker punch people all the time. Jack, can you hear the falcons cry? Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think someone's gonna die. I think this is a big episode. This is the last episode for Campaign 4 in 2025. So we're either saving Sid, or there's gonna be a cost and some other character dies. Or, now that I think about it, maybe someone is anticipating dying and then playing Sid. I would suggest that as well. And I know it's controversial, but the reason I say this is, it's interesting. Liam in an interview kind of talked about the fact he thought he was on the chopping block because he didn't have a secondary character in mind. Until they started playing the game, and he's like, oh, I came up with this idea for a secondary character, and Brennan liked it so much, I think I put my head on the chopping block. And that's an interesting thing to say, and certainly Liam is not in this current game as, Fang, but, what if someone's secondary character is Sid? What if Sid is the character someone might default to if their character died tonight? That might be really interesting. And that might be a really disruptive and interesting way to shift over to a different kind of feeling. So by the way, if you want to drop a super chat if you want to get my attention, that's the best way. Otherwise, we've got so many people in chat, it's really hard for me to read right now. And super chats help support future live streams like this and video content and all of that. So coming up, we also have something that should affect tonight's game. There was a character building video about leveling up, and I really liked it, and it's something that I think Brennan's very, very good at codifying things that Dungeon Masters have learned to do over time. And one of those things is he's already told everybody that they've all deserved to be leveled up at this point. But they need to determine the moment that they want to level up. And that can happen if they did research, if they're doing training, or even if they're in the midst of combat, they can suddenly level up. They'll get hit point increases, the proficiency, and he also indicated, like, for those who are spellcasters, list a bunch of spells you might consider getting, so there's a narrative reason that you learn that spell, and also list a number of feats that you might consider, so that there's a narrative reason that you get that spell as well. So when we tell the story of when your character levels up, it kind of makes sense for the story. And I love this, and it's really smart. And I think it's really important because there are a lot of feats now in 2024 where it doesn't make sense if you weren't training. Like, why do you suddenly get the Fey touched ability? Like, everyone who's at the soldiers table has had so much interaction with the Fey. Getting the Fey touched feat makes a ton of sense because of interactions with the Fey, or with the Fey, kind of like the pseudo realms that are occurring. Bidet, everybody, yeah. So I think out of all the feats that people kind of thought about using, I thought Fey touched by, honestly, Tyranny by Whitney Moore was one of the smartest, most narrative driven concepts. So I'm really hoping Tyranny goes for the Fey touched, just from the exposure of not only to Thimble, like sleeping in her ears, but being in these kind of Fey pockets, or Fey, having all these Fey creature interactions that have been happening. I think that makes a lot of sense. So, wow, we have 178 people. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the people piling in. That's huge. That's a huge deal. I really appreciate it. Whitney is the only completely brand new person. We've seen Alex and everybody else. Technically, so I think this is a very kind table, and I'll be very explicit about this. So you either fail a saving throw for petrification from a basilisk, or you don't. Let's see. I don't want to get too meta, but like, if I'm going to look at basilisks right now. How about that? I'm not going to throw up on the window necessarily. Let's go D&D Beyond. So for those at home, it's pretty wild to have a basilisk as a... It's wild. It is only a C3 monster. This is a personal opinion. Oh, we got a super chat. Thank you so much. Here we got Charles24 here. Here is my I'm a bit late again tithe for this week. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That helps fund the stream. And it's Christmas, so and the holidays, so that helps a ton, keeping these shows back, these shows up and running. So basilisks are a CR3, so appropriate for this entire party. Petrifying Gaze is one of its bonus actions. It's a Constitution saving throw, DC 12. Each creature within 30 feet of this cone, if the basilisk sees its reflection within this cone, the basilisk must also make this save. First failure, the target has the restrained condition. Oh, okay. So the first time someone makes eye contact with a basilisk, the first failure, the target has the restrained condition and repeats the save at the end of its next turn. If it is still restrained, ending the effect on itself on a success. Second failure means the target has the petrified condition instead of restrained condition. That's huge. So Brennan was completely honest. If Tyranny fails another DC 12 saving throw, they will turn into stone. They will become petrified in the game. So, still a chance to not be affected by petrification. Now, I hate restraining stun, petrification abilities in D&D. It's so dangerous and lethal in a party. Ghouls have the same ability. There are a lot of monsters. Not a lot. There's a couple of monsters that can shut a party down that are weirdly lethal. And I can run through a couple of them. Ghouls are extremely dangerous to D&D parties. I think far beyond their CR rating. Because they can, paralyze parties. And if someone loses their turn, there's a couple of problems here. If someone loses their turn, this can be lethal for the party, and it can be very boring for a player if you don't get to actually do something that turn that doesn't have any kind of effect on the narrative. I bring this up because the new death saves rules for Campaign 4 allow you to, even though you're on your death saves and you have not failed one, to give heroic inspiration to someone else or stabilize yourself at the same time. I think that's because this game is so lethal and there's probably no resurrections other than what happened with Octus. But that indicates to me, I don't like wasted turns. I think every player should be able to affect the game no matter what somehow, because I have found myself on the end of this being paralyzed kind of situation or stunned, and then I find it very boring for myself. And I've witnessed this over the years, 10 years, 20, 30 years I've been DMing. Paralyzing players is a giant bummer. I'm not gonna lie. People really do not have a good time when they lose their turns. And I get the mechanical reasons for this. I get the kind of dramatic reasons for this. But it sucks for the players who get paralyzed or stunned. It just does. So I'm glad that there's a chance that Tyranny can break out of this. So we'll have to see what happens. I think Restoration might knock her out of this as well. My concern is, what are they dealing with? Are they dealing with a bunch of soldiers? Are they dealing with a bunch of skeletons in this room or a bunch of zombies? I think it's going to be skeletons and zombies. I think they're going to burn through those creatures, the undead, pretty rapidly. But that's my personal opinion. So raids are multiple raids are super dangerous as well. Undead used to be more lethal. Undead used to just full on take a level away from your character permanently. It was completely nuts. So, by the way, this is being sponsored by World Anvil. If you put in the code TODD, you get 51% off if you're an aspiring dungeon master or if you're even just writing your own novel or anything else. World Anvil is amazing. It is it allows you to make a map of your world. It literally allows you to make maps of your world, but also notes and footnotes, and it organizes your thoughts in a very cohesive manner. I cannot say enough nice things about World Anvil. So, I'm looking at chat. Yeah, I played D&D since first edition. So, Undead used to just full-on burn a level of your character, and it was a nightmare. So, and we've seen Critical Role have to handle a basilisk before. This has happened before. This is not their first rodeo with basilisks. They can be incredibly dangerous. Just with one as a pet, DC 12 Constitution saving throw is relatively low. It's not the end of the world, but it really depends, and it's not a good time to be losing a caster in this situation. So that's my concern. How do I put this? I really think someone's going to die, but I could be completely wrong. This might be a 4 to 5 hour episode tonight. I don't know, but I think it's going to be rough, and I think it's going to come on a very strong cliffhanger. It will be a bummer if a character dies, but it's also a great cliffhanger leading us into 2026. I think that my personal thoughts are the fact that Octus came back from a lethal situation. There was a lethal situation that Octus, that Alexander Ward specifically wanted to have happen in the narrative. So this is why it's kind of a caveat. So Alexander Ward wanted a way to become a reborn, or whatever the term that Critical Role is using, where they're basically someone who's come back from the dead. He wanted a narrative reason for that to happen. So that was kind of, and that was in the pre-show, the overture. So the only worry there is I don't want people to think that death won't come for them in this game. That was part of kind of what they want for their characters beginning. And the overture really is the beginning. Hollowed Ones, thank you. The overture was really about these characters' beginnings and forming their relationships. But once the overture was over, it's all hands off. So I don't anticipate any more resurrections. I think death is death. I think death is super important. And if you keep on saving people, it does not count. And I'll give you an example of this. And I've given this example before. It's a weird example, but it took a lot of trust from one of my players. That player was Lauren Urban. She was playing a Dragonborn called Orkira Eldrex. And that character actually, they were held captive. And after they were held captive and woke up, the party broke them out. They were a cleric, but then they couldn't get their spells back over multiple days and weeks. And this increasingly became a source of anxiety. Like, why can't I get my spells back? Well, the truth was, and the player didn't even know, but trusted me enough, that they were actually a simulacrum. And when you create a simulacrum, they cannot get their spell slots back. So Lauren didn't know that she was playing a simulacrum, kept on playing the game, kept on losing spell slots, and had been programmed. And this was actually in the world of Wildmount. I mean, this was Exandria. This was literally like the Mighty Nine stuff. That's where the universe that we're running the game in the live play show. But something triggered an event where someone cast Detect Magic. Her character freaked out. She was pre-programmed. They discovered that she was a simulacrum. And they went back to the city and discovered, I believe it was Islecross, and they discovered that they went to an actual graveyard and found their own body. And she tried to cast divine intervention on her own body as an illusion, as a simulacrum, to try to bring herself back. And it was a 10% chance of succeeding, and Lauren had me roll that roll, and it took a photo of it. It was like a 7 out of 10, and so her character came back to life. It was wild, and took a lot of trust. But I guess I bring this up because death needs to matter. Like, sometimes, or there needs to be a horrible bargain struck to bring someone back, or death can be the next adventure. I have run games where the entire party died in the first episode because death was the beginning of the story. And there's lots of different ways to handle character death. And I think maybe tonight we're going to be talking about that. Like, how do we handle the death of a character, or how do we make that part of the future story? So we might be in for a rough night, is what I'm saying, everybody. we may have a hard time. I think we'll be on this the edge of our seats. I think that's what's going to happen. So, checking chat, making sure I'm not missing any super chats or anything like that. Seem to be okay. Who do we think could potentially pass away tonight? What happens to a demon that started to vibe and with good things? We don't know so many things about demons and tyranny and how demons work in this world. We have so little knowledge, it's driving me nuts. I think we're past due for a super deep dive into everything that has to do with tyranny and demons and how it affects this world. because we've been repeatedly talking about the undead and how things are thinning. The membrane between the living and the dead keeps on thinning. That feels like there's going to be this kind of World War Z apocalyptic moment where the dead burst through this membrane and take over the world. And that might be the destruction of the world. I think there's some really wild swings that we have not yet seen in this game. I think a lot of people are thinking Thimble could die. That would be a huge bummer. We got a super chat. Let me check it out. Oh, we got a couple of super chats. Thank you so much. I think Octus could be the cold start today. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think Octus being the cold start would make a lot of sense. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mark. Why are you not showing me your full name? Huge thank you to Mark. I think it's going to be Mark Stewart. It just says Mark Stew. Why are you not showing me this person's full name? That's insane. Mark Stewart. Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much for the super chat. We also have Charles24 in here. It's so weird that they're hiding names. 2450. Wikander's already been close to death once, and is really squishy. So my money's on him. Yeah, Wikander could die. It's interesting because Sam Riegel has tried so hard to make so much world building behind his character, behind the Candescent Creed. He's put so much world building into this religion. I think it's kind of great if he died, right? What if he became this weird messianic figure for the Candescent Creed, having died, and then Tyranny keeps on telling the gospel of Wikander dying for the Candescent Creed, and then becomes like the center figure for this religion? What a wild Sam Riegel swing to like do all this effort, build up this religion, right? To have all this lore building, and then as this weird, naive rich boy die and become this messianic figure, this kind of, this messiah type figure within the world, would be crazy. It would be amazing. So for the people who think Wikander might die, I think narratively exciting as hell. Has my peak interest right there. If Wikander dies tonight, just chef's kiss, really. It doesn't mean I want Wikander to die. I think Wikander's whole back and forth with Tyranny is fantastic. But what a wild swing. Can you imagine, like, right now for a character to die right now, the impact they would have, I think Wikander's would be the biggest. Wikander's had so much screen time, so much world building, and has been so crucial to kind of the narrative of how they interact with the world up till now. To have Wikander die would untether them and be very interesting. We got another super chat. Thank you so much. I think we get a TPK. Wow, PF Don. I think we get a TPK, and when we rejoin the soldiers' table, they're part of the war, and we heard about in the underworld, possibly with Fang. That would be amazing. Wow, what a good theory. Because we actually brought this up in this chat before, that what if one of these groups dies and ends up in the world of the dead? And that's the separation. That the soldiers actually could possibly go into the world of the dead, or some other party could go into the world of the Fae, and that becomes the separation. And I think that is fascinating. I think that's so fun. And I actually ran a game where one party was in the Shadowfell, one party was in the Feywild, and one was in the Primaterial Plane, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think a TPK in this game would be amazing. And what an opportunity with an audience as big as Critical Role to make these wild, crazy swings. And by the way, thank you everyone who did super chats. You have no idea. Every little bit helps. I gotta tell you, like, you know, not to be direct, but like, you know, you see these $5 super chats and these $2 super chats. That's like a meal. That's huge. That's crazy. That's not lost on me, especially around Christmas time and the holidays. Is super chats are so welcome, so kind. And by the way, we've got 277 people in the chat right now. Thank you so much for showing up and being here and being excited for the Critical Role. I really appreciate everyone's presence. It's huge. This gives me a sense of socialness that I don't always get because I don't go into work right now because I don't have work. So being able to hang out with all of you it means a lot. What? Sent 50 Todd Kenrick gift memberships? Oh my god. VBN BRB XMXFM, my dude, that was so incredibly kind. Thank you so much. And you now rule chat for the next 10 minutes. 50 gift subs is wild. Shout them out. That's incredibly kind. That's wild. That's absolutely wild. Wow. Yeah, I think it's potentially no one's going to die. I think it's I mean, all these point of views are valid. Look all those subs going up. Ending the holidays on a character death is a bummer. I don't know that they would do that. But they could. Sorry, I'm just watching all these gift subs. 50 is wild to me. Yeah, I don't want anyone to die. I totally agree. I don't want anyone to die in this show. I think we're a little past due. With all the talk of Brennan saying this is a very lethal game, it's a weird. It would be a harsh vibe to end the holidays on. Not that other shows have not been rough, right? Like, you know, let's take a look at. Yeah, we've got heroic inspiration. Tyranny just needs to pass a difficulty 12 to get out of the petrification, so I think that's gonna be fine. Yeah, it'd be a bummer. Also, though, other shows that are not pulling punches, I think Stranger Things isn't going to pull a punch. How wild on Christmas Day to kill off a main character from Stranger Things, though. And then also, Welcome to Derry has been wild and dark. So that's another good example of, I don't know, man, someone might die. I'm tempted to start doing reaction videos to shows like that are nerd adjacent, like Welcome to Derry, and Stranger Things, and even Doomsday Trailer, which I haven't seen yet because I don't have the time to watch Avatar. My Nine's pretty rough. Everybody, My Nine, episode 5 is pretty rough. Yeah, I have an interview with the cast of My Nine, by the way. I talked to Liam and everybody else about how screwed up it was to see that moment with Liam. Because I remember when Liam acted out that scene in the live game. And then to see it animated makes it so much darker. Episode 5 of My Nine is like... it's hard to forgive Caleb. That's what I'll say. Yeah, I haven't seen Tyranny's not slapped down at Hunger of Hadar or Arms of Hadar or anything. So yeah, my nine's great. I'm really, really, really been happy with my nine. Yeah. Such good animation. And also, oh my god, the stuff with Yasha is wild. The stuff with Yasha is insane. Hey Daniel Powell. I like the level up mechanic. It's not even a mechanic. It's I don't think it's shocking because you know what I liked. It was a pretty big obsession early days of D&D. How important spell components used to be. Um, did you have a bid on the live auction? No, I am unemployed. Uh, yeah, I didn't have any bids on the live auction anyway. I literally don't have the money right now. We're just trying to pay the bills. Full disclosure, and I'm actually looking on downsizing a lot. So I'm probably gonna start selling a lot of D&D collectors books. I have the Hand of Vecna, which Neil Newbon as Asturian bit once during a live play show. I'm thinking about auctioning that off. I have a player's handbook that everyone signed from the cast in MCM London from Baldur's Gate. I'm actually looking very deeply at getting rid of stuff, and you know, it's funny. Friends and family are asking about like, hey, what do you want for Christmas? And I'm like, nothing. Please come to my house and take things away. So, am I planning to get a full-time job? I've actively been trying to get a full-time job. Yeah, the job market's really rough. I love doing this, and if I can make a sustainable income at doing live streaming and videos, I am 100% going to do that. But I also have a responsibility to my family and our life to do whatever I can to pay the bills. So, but I love doing this instead of being having a full-time job at a company. It might even be more secure at this point than having a full-time job, the way things have been going lately with all the layoffs. I have so many friends who have been laid off. It's so scary. And I think a lot of people forget right now, the job market is horrible, but a lot of people don't have families that have a, how do I put this? A lot of people don't have a family that came from money. So like Megan and I do not come from money. So there is no kind of parachute or whatever you want to call it. There's no padding, right? Like no one's going to save anybody. And that's true of so many people who are poor in this country or who have reached middle class. They don't have like this inherited income or wealth. And I've run into people all the time that do have that, and I'm not knocking people who come from, I'm not calling them Nepo babies or anything else, but people who come from middle class families or come from families who are rich, they can't conceive of poverty. You know, I lived in an abandoned building at one point, so like people don't really understand, and the cost of living keeps on getting big. That's true. AI is taking up a lot of jobs, and that's also true. And we keep on seeing downsizing, and layoffs are now part of this 3 to 6 month cycle for so many different places. It's terrifying. You know, there are people who are deciding not to have families because they can't guarantee the future of their kids, so they're just not doing it. So this gap in wealth is getting insane. This isn't politics. This is like just what we're seeing right now. So, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, the last time I was unemployed, it took me a full year to get a job. I think I was literally on my last week of unemployment The entire country was under a recession, and they had to extend unemployment to a full year, which was wild. But like, yeah, it's rough, man. Anyone in chat, like, hey, we appreciate the support, but also if you don't have money, don't do it. It's hard. I had to like cancel a lot of subscriptions to live play shows, to people I've been supporting over the years because I just had to downsize. Yep, unemployment's happening all over the world. It's a real rough time. I think yeah, I'm going to do my best to like kind of we're way off topic. I'm going to do my best to keep on forging ahead and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. I'm really enjoying covering Critical Role. I'm really enjoying covering Daggerheart. Still covering D&D and tabletop, but you know, it's a process, man. It's a you just gotta do your best, and that's what everyone's doing, man. I think that's why we watch these shows, because we need a little bit of break from the world. Every time I see a headline, I'm terrified. Thank you, Bipolar Bear 8145, for joining with Roll with Advantage. And I really want to, actually, I want to be a little bit more positive. I want to say to everyone in chat right now, if you're having a hard time, it's okay not to be okay. This is, I have, first off, the holidays can be really rough. The last 2 years have been really rough. My dad had stage 4 cancer. We didn't celebrate Christmas last year because of that. We couldn't even visit my dad because his immune system was compromised. You have this perpetual night that happens in Seattle as well. So if you live in the northern states or even more north in the country, in the world, that darkness, that lack of light starts to affect you as well. And or you might not have family, or you don't have a good relationship with your family, and the holidays kind of bring that back to light as well. So just take care of each other. Just understand it's okay to be having a hard time. Do not think it's your fault that you are in the situation you are. Just be kind to yourself first. Make sure you can swim, I think, is my advice. We went way off base off of talking about the show. So yeah. Yeah, I am scaling back. I gotta tell you, I used to live like a monk, and so when I talk about being I lived in a abandoned. My building was a building I rented at the time in Cincinnati, Ohio, but it was set on fire. But I also didn't have a job. The job I had reduced hours for everybody, and I was eating like saltine crackers. You learn to scale back. My goal right now is actually to lose weight and be healthy. So I'm looking at like a lot of tofu and edamame. Beans as food and broccoli, which is healthy, which is crazy healthy, and cheap, really cheap. So I'm trying to try to get a lot of processed foods out of my diet and not spend money on anything you don't need, like pop, alcohol, snacks, that kind of stuff. I'm trying to burn down to the bare essentials, because I was actually raised that way, like beans, cooking raw chicken and stuff like that, that kind of stuff. So I love potato. Don't bring up potatoes in chat. I'm gonna freak out. I love potatoes so much. I have an addiction to potato. I will eat potatoes no matter what. I have a problem. Sometimes it makes me think if you have a sorry, if you have a deep attachment to the food, maybe that's got something to do with what your nutritional needs are. Oh yeah, get rid of salt, man. Though I will say, spices will make anything good. So that's my advice. If you are trying to scale back, you have to understand that you can buy really, 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 really cheap food, even like just garbage. I remember I found this. I think it was Mama Mia pizzas when I was in Cincinnati, Ohio, like 20 years ago. They were like $2 for 4 pizzas, little tiny ones, and they were garbage. And but with some red pepper flakes and some garlic, you got through it, man. Thank you so much. We got a super chat right now. I need to check. Thank you, Nico Hunter, for the $10 super chat. I used to be in the same boat. Wish you a quick route to better times. I mean, these might be the better times. I think I need to reframe my kind of... Yeah, dude, spices will save you every time. No, unless someone's poor, they don't understand the concept of it. It's pretty funny. When I got laid off, people were like, Todd's going to be fine. And I hated those comments. Todd's going to be okay. Because magical stuff will happen. I'm like, sometimes things are not okay. I'm very aware that things can go wrong. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Miss Amy Nay. I'm actually getting a little bit more superstitious that your body knows what kind of foods it needs. I love fried potatoes. I'm addicted to fried potatoes, but I'll eat hash browns. I'll eat any type of potato. I hate cheese. Which is funny because I think my brother is addicted to cheese, but there's something about a lot of dairy products, aside from something that's like pizza or Cheez-Its, that is hard for me to consume. It's not that anything bad happens. I think I have like a kind of weird genetic revulsion. Todd, there's only like a 30% chance your life will collapse. Whew. Yeah, I'm actually looking to get down to about 220 or 250, but with muscle. So. I love doing the interviews with Darrington Press. And I appreciate all the support everyone had about Darrington Press. You know, things don't happen that quickly. So it's not like you can... I think there's a lot of misconception about companies about like how much they can just like, hey, we're going to hire someone. It doesn't work that way. And if something doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. So, you know, yeah, would I would love to work in Darrington Press? 100%. Do they have... does it make sense for them to hire me? That does not make it true. However, they've been very kind with giving me interviews about Daggerheart and everything else. So, I love everyone there. I love Chris Perkins, Jeremy Crawford, Elise, obviously the entire cast of Critical Role. Oh, God. Spencer and Rowan are magical human beings. But, you know, you can't just expect people to, like, hire you off randomly. So, last night with the soldiers... yeah, we got way off base. Thank you for staying in chat. So my point is... we may lose a character tonight. I'm so sorry. It's one of those stressful days. I'm seeing some growth, 100%. Yeah. On the channel, yeah, we're doing well. Getting a lot more critters in here, and that's been really helping. People, honestly, you know what the most growth has been? It has been folks from Critical Role, all of you, everyone from all the critters who have been supporting the channel with like super chats, subscribing, and leaving comments and watching. That's actually been the biggest effect on the channel by far. We've had massive new viewers for the channel because of just kind people. And that's kind of where I want to live. So let's get back to... I want to do something interesting and make it a little bit less dark because it's the holidays. Do I think Brennan is willing to kill two characters at the same time? I don't. I don't think he is. I think he's been very kind with roles. I think he's made a lot of exceptions for the rules. I don't think we're going to see a TPK. And I don't think he's going to kill two characters at the same time. I think Brennan puts on a good game face for being relentless and being a nemesis as a game master or a dungeon master. I don't think it's actually true. That's what you do as a dungeon master. You're like, I'm going to destroy all of you. I don't think he's doing that right now. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for the level up video, love. I think the Tachonis family is actively interested in digging up religious sites and artifacts to perforate the membrane between the living and the dead. How many characters has Brennan killed in Dimension 20 or any show? I'm looking up something real quick. All right. I'm going to do something weird in chat, so give me a second. I'm going to be a little quiet for a moment. I apologize. We're going to do... Well, let's do a goal. 10 super chats. For the next 30 minutes. Yeah, let's do that. And then I want to do something else. Who might die tonight? Dude, that did not... Okay, I thought that launched. Having to paste everything. Oh, why are you living? Oh my god, only 4? Really? Okay. Oh my god, we got super chats rolling in pretty fast. Oh my god. Words. Thank you. Thank you, Caminard. So much for words. Thank you for the super chat. We've got another $10 super chat from Charles again. Weren't the Tachonis and the Halavars on the side of the gods during the Shapers' War? Could the Tachonis be collecting artifacts to maybe try to resurrect the gods? I don't know. If they're so invested with the control of undeath, maybe. I mean, it's an interesting theory. The Halavars seem to have their power coming from faking the existence of the gods. I don't get the sense that they've cared about bringing the gods back themselves. That's a good point. Marry everything. Thank you so much, Bob Sinclair. That's super kind. We got another $5 super chat from Mark Stewart. So Octus in the cold opening, as I had previously said. We also need more information about Aabria's character. Good point. And the old way, how that handles death and rebirth. Yeah, those are big gaps. All good super chats, by the way. We really don't know enough about the realm of the undead and that membrane gang thinner. We don't know enough about resurrection. And there's been this huge lore drop having to do with the fact that the woman with the skeleton tattoo were so scared, so worried and concerned that Thyazi had seen a falcon at the time of his death. That was such a huge deal. And now what we know about paladins just asking to be resurrected to become dogs and to be of service. It's interesting. So I think there's way more lore about resurrection and how it affects this world. 100%. I think we need more lore drops having to do with Aabria and druids in general. No, I think he specifically saw a falcon. And then it's interesting. Thyazi saw a falcon at the time of his death, but I don't know that resurrection would necessarily play out that way, which is a little weird. So I'm not quite sure. Yeah, it was definitely a falcon. We got another $2 super chat. Who will be the first to level up anytime? Oh, man. Oh, wow. Him jumping into the falcon? Sublici, dude. I didn't even think about that. That is wild. Thyazi jumping into a falcon would be amazing. If you could choose to resurrect immediately into another animal, that would be the reason to be scared. Because Thyazi immediately transfers his consciousness into another creature. That's amazing. I love that theory. That's wild. We got a lot of super chats. Slightly random question. Opinions on Mastermind Rogue. Oh man, Mastermind Rogues, that's old school. How player characters can flavorly play them? I only ever see them as NPC characters. Mastermind Rogues are rough. I have a lot of thoughts about that. I need to... I need to... 'Cause, 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 'cause I used to love the concept of a mastermind rogue. And Daggerheart is a great version of them in the Rogue Syndicate. Mastermind rogues can feel really overbearing because you can give the help action so readily during combat and a bunch of other things. I think mechanically there's a reason why they didn't continue on to 2024 right now. I think it requires a lot of buy-in from the rest of the players. But the way it's worded as mastermind rogues are like, you're like, hey, punch him in the face or do this thing. Constantly giving other players advice could potentially come off as very condescending. So I think a good way to handle being a mastermind rogue and flavoring things is maybe more in a Sherlock Holmes way of not giving advice as you're giving this help action to give people advantage on their rolls and stuff like that. I think it's more randomly doing stuff quietly that is benefiting the other players, and think about that narratively. Like, maybe you throw a dagger and it cuts a rope, or maybe you throw sand in someone's eye. Like, there's different ways that aren't you giving advice specifically to a player, and more of you kind of yes-anding other players. I did play a Mastermind Rogue for a couple of sessions. I didn't enjoy it because I kept on playing it as I was giving advice like a mastermind. I think a quiet mastermind, a quiet genius, is the more fun way to play it without taking agency away from a character. That's my opinion on Mastermind Rogues. Because otherwise, if you're doing it like based off like giving advice, it comes off really rough. I can talk about this for like 8 hours, by the way. We got a super chat. Thank you so much. Thiazi is a falcon. Oh, why did this get stuck? Thiazi is a falcon by some reason as he was surprised on his death. Yeah. I think that'd be really cool if druids can transfer souls before people even die. That'd be wild. Because otherwise, resurrection would take so long. Thank you so much, Charles24, for trying to hit the goal. We appreciate you. I prefer Thiazi as Julian's other shadow. What a wild coupling. In a weird way that you are haunted by the man that you hate. And Thiazi is his shadow. And eventually becomes his, his echo. Oh my god, we hit our goal. Wow, this is the first time we've ever hit a goal on the channel. Thank you so much, Charles. I really appreciate that. And again, people, don't give if you don't have the ability to give, or it makes your holidays tight. Don't do it. We're all in the same world. We're all in the same boat. So I keep on being told I need to be more honest about what's going on with me, so I'm trying my best. I think it helps other people. There's a show, actually, a YouTube channel called The Real Rejects, and they talk about how they're feeling before they do reaction videos to films, and I'm kind of obsessed with a YouTube channel. It relaxes me. It was annoying to see it so close. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. That's wild. I think that's how goals are structured. Man, you all have better theories than I do. I'm a little jealous. I love the idea of Thiazi transferring directly into a falcon is wild stuff. I think that is a banger. Oh, you love The Real Rejects? Dude, I don't know how I stumbled upon it. So here, I think this is the Burlington bar that does reaction videos, and they did Stranger Things, and so I remember watching that during COVID to keep my sanity. to make myself feel like I had a sense of community. So I'd watch people at the bar watch Game of Thrones, and that really helped me get a sense of community. And so watching The Real Rejects this year, especially after getting laid off, it helps kind of stop my intrusive thoughts. Like sometimes I'll get horrible insomnia and stress out. And so I'll watch The Real Rejects. And they're very honest about like what's going on with them, if something bad happened. And then they'll watch the film. And there's something... Being honest about how you feel is something that hopefully AI can never replicate, I guess. So, yeah. I really like The Real Rejects. I think they do a fantastic job. And they've got some incredibly smart and entertaining people who work there. I also feel like I could be on The Real Rejects. It's not me putting myself out there, but I do have a lot of film knowledge. And a nearly photographic memory for film and TV, for things I've watched. Trying to recreate the gods. So there is a weird thing that keeps on coming up within the narrative for Brennan, Mulligan, and Campaign 4, and that's belief. Belief can sustain magic on a child's doll sword. Belief can affect curses and is primordial. I feel like belief is going to come up that if enough people believe a thing, it becomes true. So I think that here's my weird suspicion, is that the gods are not gods. The gods that were slain might have been just mortals who had convinced enough people to believe in them that they hit a godlike status. You know, I think I need to do a rewatch, actually, of episode 1 with the Aussie and his reactions. I don't mind Brennan being political. I think Brennan, I've met Brennan a couple of times. I've never had a long conversation with Brennan. I do appreciate, he has one of the most healthy perceptions upon his own success is that, hey, I work really hard and I got lucky. That's his belief. He's like, and this is something I bring up all the time, and I did before, even before everything that has happened to me in the last 2 years. There's a really horrible, how do I put this? Successful people will believe that it was owed them, or by some kind of divine providence that it happened, that they're doing well, that they deserve it. And they don't understand that, yes, you can work really hard and you can do all these things in life, but things can still go wrong. But there is this kind of weird thing that happens to people when they become successful, that they believe that it was like destiny, or by divine providence, that they have had success in their life. Instead of, maybe I got lucky. Maybe it's not me. I certainly worked hard 99.9% of the time, and then you got a break. But the assumption that you are... what it comes down to is sometimes people who are successful believe they are better than other people. And it's a really dark thing. And Brennan talks about that at length. How dark of a perception of the world that is. Brennan could have not been Brennan had not a couple of good things happened to him. And that would have not devalued all the crazy amount of work he's done. We got another super chat. If enough of us believe we can bring a fairy back to life. So, Pulish brings up a hugely important point. Massive. We have a character who's a swashbuckling rogue in Laura Bailey's character Thimble. And this is something I brought up before when it comes to belief. In Peter Pan, they bring Tinkerbell back to life. And this is probably the first example of crowdfunding, but like Peter Pan breaks the fourth wall in Peter Pan the novel. He says, all you children out there, clap your hands if you believe in fairies. It's such a remarkable moment in a novel. This is a children's novel that's being read by probably their parents. And Peter Pan says, if you believe in fairies, clap your hands. In an attempt to resurrect Tinkerbell. Is a absolutely wild moment to be in a novel at that time. Unheard of. To my awareness. Right? Like, I grew up on Frankenstein and Peter Pan and Pinocchio and all these things. So knowing that we have a character like Thimble that is so Tinkerbell kind of coded in a way. Tinkerbell, who maybe Tinkerbell's Peter Pan was the Aussie Fang. That sets you up with one of the most important concepts in Peter Pan is that belief absolutely matters. And this is why I keep on suspecting everything that Brennan talks about when it comes to belief. This magical sword works because someone's daughter believes it works, and the magic sustains in that sword. I think belief affects the gods. I think the gods might not have been the gods, and I'm very superstitious of the angels, the celestial creatures, who just went rabid the moment the gods were gone. That doesn't sound like celestial creatures. That sounds like monsters that were being controlled by a bunch of humans. Or constructs, for that matter. And that would make more sense. That would make more sense because of who Wakander is. Wakander is not a divine soul sorcerer. His grandfather is a quote-unquote celestial. I don't think his grandfather is a celestial. I think his grandfather is a construct. And I think that's why Wakander has and is a clockwork soul sorcerer. Because his father was not an angel. He was not a celestial. He was a construct created by the quote-unquote gods. And that this whole thing has been a sham the entire time. If you think this lie about the Wakander Candescent Creed faith is new, what if everyone was doing this to reach godhood before the Wakanders and the Candescent Creed? What if all the gods had ascended by this path? Everybody drink water. Sorry, that's my big rant. Oh my god, $20. Thank you so much, Smite. That's huge. I appreciate it. I think everyone's real pumped for tonight's episode. One second. The filament is weird. It seems like it's an ability to... the filament seems to be very coded to the angelic blood that they're pumping out of... out of his... Oh, how'd the poll go? Is it still up? So Tyranny is very like, I'm going to end the poll right now. We got 66% that Tyranny's gonna die. That's pretty rough. Thank you so much, Charles, again for the super chat. This is going to be the last episode for the year. Yes. We have a message. Is everything okay, Todd? Yeah, things are okay. Why do you ask? Yeah, Tyranny feels like a little bit in rough shape, but I feel like it's really I don't know. I feel like there's so much lore around Tyranny and how demons function in the world. It'd be a bummer to lose Tyranny right now. I feel the same way about Aabria as a druid and how resurrection functions. Yeah, I know. I expected a little bit more back and forth between the soldiers table and the other tables, for sure. Wow, thank you again for Mark Stewart for the $20 super chat. I think the creed and its play for the faith is why Thimble is aging. Oh, interesting. And that the ferry is closed, although it could be Halavar's ploy along with Tachonis to hold on to the spirits that are no longer living. Man, that's a deep cut. I'm trying to kind of absorb that, Mark. It does feel like the Candescent Creed is really anti-fairy. I mean, the Tachonis family seems really hell-bent on bringing back the undead. And part of that importance is to keep the Fae away. We got another super chat from PJ Don. Thank you so much. Wow, we have 298 people in chat. People are really excited today. In in Celtic folklore, I'm actually Scottish. I just found out like this year. The souls of the deceased are held in limbo. Wick's house seems to have a real fear of fairies for some reason. Yeah. Candescent Creed seems really, really, really not into the fairy folk. It's a little weird. You know, Wikander's family did send Teo Pridesire down to have his shadow stitched, and almost like he was going to have another soul or a demon inserted. Is Wikander's family part of some kind of soul smuggling or smuggling demons into human beings? Like that's the deal. There was a deal struck between Wikander's family and demons. So how many other people have been replaced in this world with demons? Stockpiling souls is a wild, wild thing to say for the Tachonis family. I love it. Oh my god, good point. Yeah, the whole thing was shadows in Peter Pan. That's a whole deal. Peter Pan, he ran out of Wendy's room and the window got shut so quickly. This is some deep cut stuff, folks. So I never saw the animated film. I read it when I was a kid. So Peter Pan flies out the window, but the window gets shut before Peter's shadow can get through the window. And so his shadow gets severed from his being. And Peter Pan shows up later and he tries to use like soap and all this stupid stuff to reattach his shadow. And it's Wendy who actually stitches Peter Pan's shadow back on. This is another indication. This is really, really smart. Good on you, chat. This is brilliant. This is another example of Peter Pan tie-ins to this campaign. Not necessarily things like Lord of the Rings. We have an example of a shadow, and it's the importance of a shadow. And we have an example of belief and the importance of belief. That's all right. And Wendy gives him a kiss, but actually calls it a thimble. And interchanges it. It's such a weird scene in Peter Pan the novel. Oh my god. Who's the original person who just said this? Bob Sinclair is bringing good knowledge on this. Yep, Bob Sinclair. Dude, I think we just cracked something in this entire show. That is wild. Thimble. This is a really important part of the book in Peter Pan. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm so excited. So, is it Wendy's that asks if she can give him a kiss? And she gets nervous and gives Peter Pan a thimble. And then Peter Pan says, "Can I also give you a kiss?" and gives her a thimble. And he's like, and then she's like, "Can I give you a thimble?" and then gives him a kiss. The fact I didn't put that together, I feel so stupid. Everyone go read Peter Pan right now. We have unlocked so much about Thimble, Thiazi Fang, and the entire framework of this game based off Peter Pan. Sorry. Wow. I cannot believe I did not put that together. Oh my god, I grew up with Peter Pan. I listened to the audiobook when I was a little kid, like every other night. By the way, Peter Pan kills so many pirates. He kills like 500 pirates. It's nuts. The body count in Peter Pan the novel is insane. Thiazi may have been Peter. That's what I'm saying. Oh my god. Cass, it's good on you. I feel stupid. I know. I don't want to talk about Alien Earth. They hit that Peter Pan motif pretty hard in Alien Earth. I don't know that any of that show made sense. What did I enjoy about that show? I enjoyed the cyborg character and the android character, the guy with the white hair, and that's about it. So I think Alien Earth is a really weird show and not canon, and the dates are way off for no reason. Alien Earth is just a wild show. It's one of those examples of a creator who I deeply respect and I think is super talented. The guy worked on Fargo. He worked on Legion. But sometimes people get hired for shows and they just don't give a shit about canon. And I hate that. I really don't like it. Or they're adversarial towards canon. I'm going to be completely honest. And I think the Star Wars sequels were pretty troubled. I did not love The Last Jedi only because no one was talking to each other, and I didn't like the movie after that because I felt like we have two directors who are not communicating to each other at all or being actively adversarial when we're trying to just make a Star Wars trilogy. It's wild. Whereas things like Rogue One I thought were fantastic, and Andor. 1 second. Yeah, it's rough. I actually like the first movie in the Star Wars prequels. It was a bit of a retread, but I thought it was really fun. I didn't love Last Jedi, not for any of the reasons that other people didn't like it. I hated the discourse around Last Jedi because there are people who hated that movie who I didn't like the people who hated that movie. The discourse around Last Jedi was so intense and extreme. I thought it was ridiculous. I never thought it was a really good movie, but I wasn't so angry about it that I was going to be so toxic and weird about everything that other people got weird about for all the wrong weird political reasons. Yeah, sometimes a movie is just bad. or not great, or not for me. You know, whatever. But that movie doesn't connect to the first movie well at all. And then the third movie doesn't connect to that movie, and so the whole trilogy is just kind of a mess. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think The Last Jedi tried to do new things, and I thought that was great. Yeah, 100%. I do agree. It's good to try new things. I think Rogue One was a little bit more successful. Hello. I think Rogue One was actually the most daring because this is a non... I'm just kind of tired of the Skywalker family in general. So Rogue One was crazy daring. You know these people are not going to get out of this situation alive, right? That's crazy. And then we get Andor on top of that. That's daring. That's trying something new. So... Han Solo was okay. Yeah, Rogue One's great. And the context of Rogue One after Andor is insane. Yeah. I'm excited for the Starfighter movie. I just don't care about... I don't need more Skywalker films. I'm out. It can't be all about one family. It's a big galaxy. It's a big universe. Yeah, Andor is one of the most amazing Star Wars movies. I mean, TV series. So do we have a new goal? Sure, I will set up a new goal. Good point. We are 30 minutes away from the episode. It's going to get nuts. I don't think you can do multiple goals. Oh, you can. I did see the Fate of the Old Republic announcement. I'm really excited to see Casey Hudson come back and make a Fate of the Old Republic game. I think it's going to end up feeling very Mass Effect. It's pretty funny because I saw the discourse about this, and this is why I might start covering video games again as well, is so Knights of the Old Republic, I don't know how many people are old enough to remember Knights of the Old Republic, but it was very much based off D&D. The stat blocks, everything else, and even the subclasses and classes. Oh, here you go. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Charles. So the stats in Star Wars: The Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic were based off D&D. Subclasses were pretty similar to what ended up in the RPG as well, which Chris Perkins actually helped work on. So KOTOR was absolutely amazing, and it had, you leveled up your character, you chose different stats, you had different dialogue trees, and all of that stuff. So all of what happened in KOTOR ended up in Mass Effect. So people complaining that they're worried that this new Republic game for Star Wars is going to be like Mass Effect is... KOTOR is why Mass Effect exists. Because Mass Effect was almost straight up D&D as well. Again, with the whole dialogue tree, everything else, and then Mass Effect 2, and then Mass Effect 3. And then Star Wars: The Old Republic, MMO, one of the most ambitious video games ever made, had the most voiced lines in the history of video games, to its detriment, because not every side quest needs dialogue, frankly. Great MMO as well, and actually, I would say Knights of the Old... Star Wars: The Old Republic probably had some of the best PvP in history, and that's only because of Warcraft had amazing MMO PvP, and that team left World of Warcraft and went on to Warhammer Online, which had amazing PvP as well. Thank you so much, Rush. Beep, beep, boop, go nerds. And then I've got so many good memories of KOTOR. Could you imagine getting a Baldur's Gate 3 level KOTOR? That would be amazing, yeah. So where was I? So the team that was on Warcraft and Warhammer for PvP all went to Star Wars: The Old Republic, and that's why the PvP in Star Wars: The Old Republic was so great. I might cover the Warlock game. Yeah, it depends. We'll see. I think the trailer looks amazing. Oh man, there was a really there's an actor who is in I forget this British actor's name, but he was the Imperial operative. If you love spy stuff, Star Wars: The Old Republic. Holy crap! The spy stuff in that game is insane. An Imperial operative. We are 25 minutes out. I'm getting a little raspy. Yeah, Mass Effect 2 is still one of my favorite games. What a wild opening. I remember being just... My jaw was on the floor. To kill the main character at the beginning of the game was nuts. Divinity 3, whatever thoughts? I don't have any thoughts on Divinity 3 yet. It looks super metal and intense. I didn't think that was what Larian was going to do next. I think Warlocks are really fun. I will posit something for you. So, it appears that Warlock is using a Hexblade. My argument is there's a better Hexblade Warlock trailer that came out the same day. And that's Control. Because Control is all about being a Hexblade, in a way. Or a Pact of the Blade Warlock. Because the gun in Control, I don't know if people have played the video game Control, the gun has taken multiple different forms over history. That's in the lore when you read stuff in Control. And Control's by Remedy, they made Alan Wake. So, the gun that you have, oh god, watch the new Control trailer, is nuts. So, in Control, the gun was known by many different names, and they suspect that the gun in the Control video game had also been Excalibur, and has existed through history, and was also known as Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. So, this weapon has changed throughout the history of the world in different forms. And now we see it as a giant, well, either being used as kind of two blades in the new Control trailer, or as a giant Final Fantasy-sized hammer. And that is a Hexblade Warlock, or a Pact of the Blade Warlock to a T. Control can do no wrong. I mean, I know the first-person shooter was not well-liked, and I didn't actually play it. It totally seemed like it was a little different than what I was expecting, but that new Control trailer, it slaps. Yeah, a little bit of a Dark Tower feel, too, yeah. The service weapon. The service weapon, yeah, is the best weapon in the history of video games. I agree. Yeah. It's wildly good. It's insane. So if you like that stuff, and by the way, you can play a Pact of the Blade using a gun. You just need it to be a magical weapon. Rules is written. Yeah, the Control games are nuts. I loved Alan Wake 2. I loved Alan Wake 1. Ooh. Is Matt's character Captain Hook? That's pretty fun. I like that. If we're buying into the weird Peter Pan theme that's going on. That's pretty wild. We're 20 minutes out. This has been a great chat, by the way, everybody. I hope everyone's getting ads, and I hope we're monetized. Always a bummer if that's not happening. I'm trying to read chat. Dude, framing Matt Mercer's character as Captain Hook is wild. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Who's Croc? What a wild Peter Pan to have a sentient Croc. What a weird cartoon that would be. Oh man, Chez was busting today. Is Tyranny crocodile? That's amazing. I love the idea that we're anthropomorphizing the crocodile. So where to start with Control? So Control is a really good, solid. If you like Eldritch horror, it's one of the Control is one of the best Eldritch horror video games ever made. If you love weird corporate nonsense like the TVA, it's a solid shooter. It's got telekinesis, really good acting, fantastic. I have played Control probably 4 or 5 times all the way through. I have read every piece of lore having to do with Control. So where to start with Control? Just buy the first game. That's my advice. So buy Control. And if you're into Eldritch horror, if you're into weird psychic energies and powers, if you're into mysteries, if you're into investigation, and frankly, just a really wildly good shooter on top of having lots of great telekinetic abilities, just Control slaps. It's one of the best games I've ever played in my life. Oh, do we need a guide? Oh yeah, I know. Things are weird. Free patrons actually don't contribute money to the channel. It's like following you on Twitter. But you know, any kind of follow is appreciated. Do you think we're going? Oh, we got some super chats. Wizard WD. Do you think we're going to see any guest appearances on Campaign 4 since we already have so many main players? I think we'll get some guests. Yeah, I do. I think we'll have some wild guest stars in this campaign. That's what I suspect. I think the moment we have a death, we may have that character, that player, not show up for a few episodes. We have Cherry Dad for another $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Mastermind Rogue, Scooby-Doo style bait, a la Shaggy. Manipulation is a different way, and help actions and disguises make a lot of sense. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we'll have some cameos, and I think we'll have, like, if someone dies or a character decides to go somewhere and they know they're not going to make it or something, but they're probably going to sub in someone, and they could sub in someone really, like, big to make an impact on the show. We'll see. But yeah, I think we'll have guest players. I do. Very active chat today. I don't think we'll get a guest Dungeon Master. Who knows? Todd guest star confirmation? No. I'm not as talented as they are. That's very kind, but like, I'd probably throw up in a bucket about 18 times. Now, Chris Perkins showing up as Wirt would be hilarious. I don't think John Bernthal would show up for a 4-hour D&D game, from my experience, but, I don't know, John. We have another Megan.
Another? There can only be one.
I love you.
I love you.
Spurt 2.0 would be funny. Oh man, we're close. We're close to the game. There's gonna be death. I think it's gonna be real rough. Well, I'm sorry I'm not gonna see all of you probably for a long time until next year, really, because we won't have reason to do this chat. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who did super chats and who's gifted subs. You have no idea of the impact that has on my life and our life. Oh, I don't know the shirt that Megan's wearing. I will ask her. Megan's very good about fashion. Oh, my God. Oh my God. That's... Oh, buddy. I don't know. That's a lot. Charles, hey man. Oh my God, dude. Um, oof. Thank you, Charles2450, for a $400 super chat. That's insane. That is unnecessary. I appreciate you. So I can only do this once, but don't worry, I can afford it. This should help for the holidays. I have a thing when I'm emotional I can't talk. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you so much, man. Dude. God, Alex Gomez, Gonzalez, thank you so much. A $99 super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you for the... Guys, no. Wizard WD. So kind. It's a $100 super chat. I'm sweating, guys. No. That's not... Thank you, Smite. Another $100 super chat. Y'all don't have to be doing this. Thank you, PF Don. Another £100 super chat. Merry Christmas, Todd. Love from London. Smite says, much love, Todd. Thank you for the amazing work you do. Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble talking. Thank you, everyone. That was very kind. And, not expected. My body temperature just went up by 20 degrees. No, guys. Bob Sinclair, thank you so much for the £100. Okay, are we doing Christmas gifts? Well, enjoy. You know you bring so many people so much happiness and enjoy. Thank you, Charles. Yeah, I'll bet there's a limit. Duh. Well, give everyone a shout out who did that, and everyone who's just in chat, thank you as well. My dudes, everybody, thank you so much. Oh my god. Well, we're 8 minutes out from Critical Role. I will never forget today. That was absolutely insane. Man, I can't even right now. I don't even know how to keep track of this. Thank you so much, Charles, for the $400 super chat. That is just insane. Thank you, Alex Gonzalez, for the $99 super chat. Again, just wild. I'm hoping I don't miss anybody because somebody PJF Don for the £100 super chat for the Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And again, Bob Sinclair for the $100 super chat. It's not letting me see everything, so I don't know what to do. It's a ton. Yeah, it literally won't show me all the super chats right now. That's wild. How do you super chat? I think there's a button in chat. I think there's like a little dollar bill symbol or something like that. But I think that's enough super chats. Whew. Sorry, I don't normally get emotional, guys. That was overwhelming. So thank you so much. I hope I can somehow repay everybody who gave today. That's insane. Yes, you broke Todd. Thank you for the super chat, Treasure Elan. Guys, you broke Todd. Seriously though, it's been a tough week, and you don't know what a difference makes to be able to come in here and nerd out. That's very kind. Man, yeah, Bob Sinclair, thank you so much. Wild. Charles, thank you so much. Absolutely insane. Alex Gonzalez, thank you so much. Wizard WD. Smitey Smite. PJF Don. This is as far back as it'll let me go. Thank you, everybody. Well, we got a live play show to watch. We're 5 minutes out from Critical Role. We're 5 minutes out. Well, now I look ugly. I appreciate you. Feel like I should have worn a more breathable fabric. Oh my god. Too many emotions. All right, I'm done. I'm done having emotions today, everybody. I appreciate all of you. Everyone, if I don't see you, have a happy New Year. Have a very happy holidays. Overly kind. And you know, if you need somehow, I don't know if YouTube allows you to retract donations as well. Like, I understand if you gotta do that too. Like, I don't know. That just seems so overwhelming. So, yeah. Well, I don't know. How do I end this stream now? Well, take care of each other. Drink lots of water. Enjoy the episode today. I think it's going to be less kind than this chat. I appreciate all of you. And I can't wait to run into you all next year. And hopefully we run into each other in the con. We got 4 minutes out. Oh, yeah. Well, don't forget to like and subscribe. We have a Patreon channel. Oh. Anyways, you're all amazing. Thank you so much. I think I'm gonna put on the stream is ending. Oh man, you jerks! You made me feel emotional on camera live. All right. Oh my god. All right. You're gonna miss the show. Everyone's still here. You all have to leave. You gotta do it. But Happy New Year. Be healthy and be kind to yourselves. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Thank you so much for watching.